right? That's the good stuff right there.
It's true. So
It's intended to be for people who've never. Okay, that's a huge question, by the way. And you already know I'm old. I'm 77. What I love to talk about with women, Caroline, is, we take these twists and turns.
Welcome to the Life on Purpose Over 40 podcast, where empowerment, elegance, and health take center stage. I'll be your guide on this thrilling journey to outshine your past self. This is a podcast all about transformation. We're plunging headfirst into exactly what health, wellness, style, relationships, and career look like as a woman over 40. You'll be hearing from all the most sought-after global trailblazers and experts. This isn't just about learning, it's about embracing your inner, fierce, fabulous self. Let's get started. Welcome back to the podcast. Today I have Lynne Bowman with us. I'm so excited to have you here, Lynne. How are you?
I am really excited to talk to you. This is so much fun. I love that we're so far apart and yet so close. Big fun.
I think that we're going to have a lot of fun together. And we were just having a chat before we actually started recording, and you've already got so many things that you've told me, and I'm very excited to delve into a few extra things. One thing that I do want to discuss before the end of this call is all about your book, but I'm going to keep it a little bit secret for anyone that doesn't know who you are. But from what I know, you have done multiple podcast interviews, I think over 50.
More like 125 or 30, I think, by now.
Okay, so if anyone's listening and doesn't know who you are, then hello, wake up, get out from under the rock, because that's unbelievable.
Where have you been?
Yeah, exactly. You've got an amazing cookbook, and I want to discuss it because I think that just sounds scrumptious. But I want to start off by asking you a little bit about where you started from. How did you get to where you are now? What's some defining moments of your journey?
Okay, that's a huge question, by the way. And you already know I'm old. I'm 77. So I can't even remember how I got started anymore. It was so long ago. And what I love to talk about with women, Caroline, is, we take these twists and turns, and we never really, especially back, I graduated from high school in 1964 without a clue. We did not have any idea what would happen in our lives, except we would get married and have children. That was what we were programmed to do. That's what we were told we could do. And that was what was available for us to do. It's fascinating to me to be living in this time and have seen the change that we've seen in our family structure and women's lives. I mean, it's amazing when you think about it. Because when I was 18, 19, the only thing available to us was nursing. You could be a secretary, you could be a teacher, and brand new thing, you could be a flight attendant. If you could keep your weight down. And my sister was 5'6". I remember she applied, and she had to be 125 pounds or she would be fired. So, ladies, we have come some way. I don't know whether it feels like a long way, and it certainly I don't think is a complete way, but wow, things have changed. So I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I thought I was going to be an artist, a fashion illustrator, and I went to Paris and learned very quickly that in Paris there were no jobs for anyone except people from the right family, French people, whatever. So I ended up, like a lot of young girls, selling newspapers on the street in Paris until I came back. And, we don't have time here to even begin to talk about the number of jobs that I had, most of which never made it to the resume. We didn't have resumes either, by the way. But we did anything that we could do to stay alive, just to get work. And in my case, I lucked out. I actually did 3 semesters at UCLA. And about the end of the 3rd semester, I was sitting in a geology class thinking, this is so stupid. What the heck am I doing here? What am I going to do with this? I don't care about rocks. I really don't.
Why did you do it?
because it was required in those days. You had to have a certain number of science credits and a certain number of, history credits and language credits, whatever, because this was university. And so the idea was that you were going to get an all-around education, a degree that meant you were capable of living in the world in an educated way. I don't know. But I just had this kind of revelation where I can't do this. I don't want to do this. I'm young. I'm healthy. I want to go. And so I pretty much got up and left. And, there were beaches, there were motorcycles to be ridden, there was life to be lived. And I did not want to spend it in a dark room with 500 other people looking at pictures of rocks. So I left. And life has taken a lot of interesting turns since then. But I wound up, as we were talking earlier, I mean, I was an actress. I was, did makeup. Because I was in LA. So I did all those things that my friends would call up and say, hey, you want to do it? Sure, I'll do that. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah. I want to be an extra. Yeah. Talking part, no problem. I'll do a walk on. Okay. That was the town industry. So, I was around a lot of that. And then I got an opportunity, was offered a job in broadcasting in those. And I said, yes, yeah, that'd be great. And I went to North Carolina and took it and was hands down the worst weather person ever in the history of
Because
broadcasting.
you didn't finish your geology class.
Yeah. Can you imagine? So, um, and that led to other things, advertising, marketing. I knew I could write and, and again, I would say, yeah, I'll do that. Sure. I can do that. And then I wound up back in the Silicon Valley in 1980, which was just kind of the luck of the draw. Here was this place that was the nexus of the world, everything happening business wise. And they needed marketing people, they needed advertising people who could take this crazy technology and translate it into understandable language.
Yeah.
That turned out to be me. And, I come from a family of geeks and engineers. And so I had an ability to listen to them and talk to them and then turn what they said into real people language. And so I basically made a career of that afterwards. And I, along the way, had 3 babies quickly and was single mom to these little guys. And so, and their sole source of support. So, I don't know if people still plan their lives and do what they plan to do, but we sure didn't then. And I could never have imagined that either. I mean, that was not on anyone's radar. We didn't know what a microcomputer was. When I graduated from high school or was planning my education, who was Apple? What was Apple? Who was Microsoft? These things didn't exist. So my advice to everyone about life is really simple. It's say yes. Say yeah, well, I can do that, and then figure it out. And it takes us wonderful places, and still is taking me some places, some of which are kind of wonderful. So
I love it. I love the sense of freedom's one word, but I think freedom is a bit scary to some people. I think it's the belief in yourself that you are capable. I think that's the takeaway from that. That even if it was scary, even if you weren't sure what was next, you had 3 children, you're a single parent and the sole supporter of them. And I'm sure it was goddamn scary going through that time period. I think the fact that you believed in yourself.
yes, but there are also, it's the mama bear idea. When you have these little people depending on you, you kind of don't have time to be scared. You're moving forward and you're doing, and you're protecting, and you're doing all these things with your kids. But going back to, I've been asked, Caroline, a lot of times, where does your confidence come from? How do you, and I think it's from being raised at a time when we were feral as kids. We were not supervised. We left our little homes in the morning and we went out and we played and we climbed trees and we caught snakes and we rode horses and we fell out of trees and we had motor scooters and broke our teeth. And that was, we didn't wear helmets, and we didn't have seat belts. And we certainly did not have parents following us around, watching us all the time. We went in clusters of children.
Yeah.
So, I think we've kind of swung back the other way, so that these poor kids now don't do anything without instructions and uniforms and schedules. And that doesn't lead to confidence, and it doesn't lead to creativity in many cases. And we're so busy preparing them for some imaginary future, that they're going to go to this great school and they're going to have this great career. And so they need to have these skills, and they need to get in the right preschool, and then they need to be in the right elementary school, and then they need to be in the right middle school, and they need to have the right friends. And oh my God, right? There's no room in there for them to find out who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only with some freedom, it's only failing that we learn.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not allowed to fall on your face, or if your life doesn't somehow put you in a situation, as mine certainly did, to fall on your face, how do you learn? How did Simone Biles become this incredible athlete? Well, she fell a lot.
Yeah.
That's how we become. And so, in addition to saying yes, I would say the advice is, don't be afraid to fall on your ass, and then fall again, and then fall again. And hopefully you get good at falling and getting up and doing something else. And particularly women, I think we're brought up to be terrified of looking messy, or having dirt on our pants or something. But you need to get a little messy. You need to fail.
But do you think social media is making that worse now?
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
everyone's showing off their perfect lives and
And it's all BS. We all, part of us knows it's BS. But there's the picture of this woman looking perfect, and her perfect looking boyfriend or husband or whatever. No, sorry. We know better. That's not life. That's not how it works. And I think this is a fad. I mean, I think it will fade. I think it's already, people are kind of getting wise to it, I hope. And we're certainly seeing the danger for our young ones. We're seeing the research on their mental health and their happiness, is not a good thing right now. And so we have these tools. We have these enormously powerful tools. And look at you and me this morning using these tools. We hope for the benefit of everyone, and mankind, womankind. But these powerful tools are at the same time forcing us to deal with things with our children that we just never dealt with before. They're coming over the transom. They're coming in the door at this enormous rate. And it takes courage to not let them in your house, you know? And that's a whole other discussion, I realize. It's a whole giant topic, and that's, I don't think, what we intended to talk about today, but there it is. It's in front of all of us right now.
yeah, it is. And yes, we are using it for greater good sometimes as well, so we can't hate on it too much.
No.
I wanted to ask you, tomorrow I'm turning 44. And I just wanted to get your perspective of what you feel, how life has changed for you since you're in your 40s, and I guess going through the start of menopause, and how that's changed you, because I know, I'm not sure even how old you were when you went through it, and some women don't even remember when they went through it. It might have been a great time for you, so it might have been okay. But that whole time period, that 40 to 50-year-old to now, like, how do you reflect back on that time period? And I guess getting to that age might have felt a lot more overwhelming. And does it feel like that now, or is it something that you look
Well,
back on?
let's go backwards.
Yes.
I've never been happier than I am right now.
Yeah.
This is a wonderful time in my life. I'm really, really enjoying it. Uh, and spinning the clock back, and I have daughters who are in their late 40s. Well, they're mid 40s now. My son is in his late 40s. Um, and it's easy to see that your 30s and 40s are tough. I mean, you're working usually very hard. If you have a family, you're raising kids and working typically, and you have adult relationships, and you have a house, and you have all this stuff. It's hard. It's very hard. And no one has told you how to do it. You're making your way in this world with no instruction manual whatsoever. So, and I remember that. I mean, I worked my buns off like so many women do, and was struggling to raise my children the best I could, and it was hard. And for me, everything changed when I was 50, quite suddenly, actually, because my sister, who had been my stalwart and the one helping me, my mother had been gone since I was 18. And it was my sister who would take the kids in a pinch and who would tell me to shut up when I needed to be, she was great. My older sister, 4 years older, died when I was 50, and of breast cancer. She'd had it for a number of years. And I also had fibroids and was suddenly bleeding profusely. And I'm happy to say now the medical community will say, oh, you can die from that. At the time, it was just, oh, you're having some heavy bleeding, you know. But I had, and so I ended up having a hysterectomy. And my physician, a woman, my OBGYN said, I'm just going to take your ovaries out too, because you're just going to come back and want those out anyway. And so I said, well, I guess, she said, okay, good, we're done. And so at the age of 50, I had all my worries removed surgically.
Yeah.
And between losing my ovaries and uterus and my sister was the hard one. Um, you know, it's, and yet I went to a spa when I was 50, that same year, that same time, and had a couple of revelations that have served me extremely well the rest of my life since then. And so I spent a week crying at La Puerta in Mexico, which is a wonderful old kind of one of the early spas in the California area, started by a European couple. Very humble. It wasn't fancy. It was out in the country, and it was hiking and communal eating and quiet. And I sat in a little casita outside and I listened to the quail, and all of a sudden went, oh, that's what I need in my life. I need to live as if I were at a spa like this, and I need to hear quail. I need to eat healthy food, and I need quiet, and I need quail. That's what I need. And this week at the spa was revelatory and wonderful and interesting. And so I came home, and a matter of, I don't know, 2, 3 weeks later, a friend and I driving down Highway 1 in California, we turned off the road into this little village. And I went, oh my gosh, this is it. This is where I need to be, right here. And I have been here for 27 years now since then, and love it. And I'm very much a part of this little funny agricultural community, about 500 people, a lot of artists and musicians. And I have wonderful friends who do interesting, peaceful things. I mean, we're activists when we need to be, but for the most part, we're peaceful. So for me, this half so far of my life has been, I mean, I'm so grateful and happy that I have my children. I have 2 grandchildren now, which, yes, they're the most wonderful grandchildren ever in the entire history of the universe. And going back to our tools, even though my grandson is 400 miles away, Reno, Nevada, he and I talk, he's 2 years old, and we talk for breakfast and dinner very often. And he shows me his boo-boos and his books, and I show him mine. And, we have this wonderful long distance relationship, but in his 2-year-old mind, I'm just right there in his phone, in his computer, which that's kind of magical, isn't it? Wonderful. So yes, having grandchildren, having enough is wonderful. I now have enough of everything that I need to have enough of. And I would wish for everyone, no matter what your enough is, that you'll get there, and you will. And part of it is defining what your enough is. And of course, the joke, I'm a boomer. So the joke now is we're trying to give all of our stuff to y'all. And, we're getting rid of it. We want it gone. I don't want to carry all that stuff around my back. And you can see behind me is one of the things that wound up in my house from my husband's long since dead great aunt, and nobody else wanted it, but I couldn't bear to see it. I mean, look, it's this wonderful. It's an organ, yeah, called a harmonium. I don't play it, but it's mine now because I mean, what I had to keep it. So our lives have a bit of that in them. But I think you younger ones are beginning to see it differently and not define yourselves by your stuff, by your antiques from the 18th century, by your jewelry, by your designer clothes in your closet. And, yeah, I have some too. Yeah. But we kind of are beginning to, I think, see that for what it is. And that's not happiness. It's not.
No, that's true. And you just gave me goosebumps when you were telling me the story about your sister, and that's really sad. And I'm sorry to hear that. And the fact that you went on to find something really beautiful and find a beautiful place to live. You were telling me about your farm before as well. And they say that from everything bad, something comes good, like something good comes of it. And I was always taught that by my mom. My mom used to she always says that. And yeah, I think in some funny way, your sister actually guided you to where you are now.
Absolutely. And I so feel that, and sometimes it's probably my sister, sometimes there are other voices, but when we get quiet, Caroline, which is the challenge today, right? When you can actually find a way to be quiet in a quiet place, with a quiet mind, we do hear those messages. I don't know if they're voices or not, but certainly there have been plenty of times in my life where something has said, no, turn right, no, turn left, no, 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 stop, no, talk to that person. And I'm a great flirt. And I like to talk to people about the advantages of flirting because it has a bad name. When we think of flirting, what do we think of? We think of, I don't know, someone in a bar talking. But I love to flirt with babies and with Labrador retrievers and with very old people. And, when you just allow yourself to let go and relax and reach out and flirt, when things attract you, when people attract you, there's a reason why you're being attracted to that thing or that person. Go with it, ride with it. And sometimes it's a wave. Sometimes it's a, hi, I've seen you here before. Sometimes it's the language that you speak to babies that only babies understand. And that's fine. Dogs are great flirts too. And they can lead to wonderful conversations with their humans. But I think that letting yourself flirt with ideas, with, notions, and with people all ages, and dogs and horses and cats and fish. Sea creatures are also flirts. You may know that. Uh, that makes your life rich. And the older we get, the more I think old ladies are famous flirts, because we're no longer prey. You enter into this wonderful space where people aren't afraid of you and people aren't after you, and they're always a little bit surprised by you. So it's a great place to be, isn't it?
I like that. I'm looking forward to that.
As well you should. Yes. But caveat, you have to be healthy.
Yeah.
So you, my dear, if you're not already, and I think you are, but especially in your 30s and 40s, you need to take your health very seriously and start doing the things that you need to do to be me. I'm assuming you want that.
Yes, that was going to be my next question. What does exercise mean to you? What's it been for you over the last 30 years, especially?
Well, I always did what I could. But now it's a joy. I'm in a place where I can take a class 4 days a week. I just signed up for a new one. So right now I'm 3 days a week doing a mobility and a strength, a circuit in a little local gym. Wonderful with, 6 people, 5 people, they're friends. It's a very sweet social time for me, and it is real exercise. And my teacher, my trainer, Tiago, great big guy, very strong, but he's sweet, and we are gaining strength. We are doing strengthening exercises, and the kind of exercises that keep you more limber and keep your fascia more stretched. And that's what health is made from right there. And then I just signed up with a new yoga teacher in town. So I'll be taking a yoga class on Tuesday mornings at 10:30. I can't wait. Because at this same spa that I've always already mentioned to you that I went to when my sister died, when I was 50, one of the classes that I took as part of the daily was a yoga class. I'd never taken a yoga class, didn't have time, wasn't in my life. Here I was, a beginner in this yoga class, and the teacher walks in, and I knew her to be 60-ish from someone having told me or her resume or something, which at the time seemed old to me. And to look at her face, was not, but the woman had the most beautiful body, gorgeous body. And all of a sudden, I was hooked, right? Oh, obviously, yoga is a key to having a lovely, functional, healthy body in your 60s and beyond. And that stayed with me. So I'm very excited to be beginning my yoga classes next week now. But absolutely exercise. And it can be dancing, walking, playing with a child, anything you do to move. Things that you do, your little plank that you do when you get up in the morning next to your bed. I've got weights under my bed. I have some little tools that I use, the stretchy things, and one of those balls with little round things on it that you can put under your feet. So it needs to be included in your life in every way that you can, because life is conspiring against us more and more and more to do nothing but sit all the time. Your car in front of the screen. So your battle is not to sit as you and I are sitting right now. The battle is to be on your feet and moving. I have a treadmill right over here. So when I watch YouTubes about things I'm interested in, I have a treadmill to be on at the same time. And so obviously, since I'm a a cookbook writer, among other things. I teach food. I believe in food as a healing thing, and it's terribly important. But two other things just as important: moving, and what's the other one? Can you guess?
Emotional well-being.
Oh no, we don't care about that. No, of course I'm teasing you. It is the emotional well-being that comes from a good night's sleep. You
Yes.
have to sleep. There's no point in talking about emotional well-being if you haven't slept. Okay? Anyone who's had children or a relationship or a job, you know this. If you haven't rested, if you have not slept, you're not going to be your best. You're not going to win at whatever it is. So it's a thing that as a culture in the US, and I don't know if I can speak for Europeans as much, but in the US, we always prided ourselves on not needing sleep. Hell no, I can stay up all night programming. I can do this. I can do. No, no, no. Our bodies only heal literally when we are in deepest sleep. And when I say heal, I mean just maintain themselves, but also if you have a boo-boo, as my grandson would say, the only time your cells are able to come out and do the stuff they need to do to heal it is when you're in your deepest sleep. So I I think it's important to keep that up there on the list. We're all exercise conscious now, I think. But the sleep bit needs to be part of our consciousness too. It's very, very important. And I think of myself as a kind of recreational sleeper. I mean, I really love sleeping. I love the whole thing of going to sleep and getting quiet and being in. I have a wonderful bed, and my sheets are great, and it's a ritual. It's not just falling over. And so I would hope that everyone could enjoy their sleep as much as I do. Even that bit where you wake up in the middle of the night and you go, "Oh, I'm awake." Enjoy it. You know, it's quiet. It's beautiful. It's it's a part of the world that you should enjoy as well as the noisy part. And I live out in the country, so I hear the owls and the critters and stuff, and I love that that's part of my life. But yeah, sleep, movement, food, all of them. And then the emotional well-being comes along, I think, when you're strong enough to deal with what you have to deal with to get the emotional well-being. Um, but you can't have one without the other, I don't think.
Yeah. Yeah. And what do you think about if people are in a situation where they're trying to overcome issues in their lives, like you're talking about the importance of these things, but if you've got people with issues in their lives and they can't overcome those issues, but then that's what came first, the chicken or the egg, they're not able to go through the sleep process, or they're not able to get themselves into the workout, or they're not able to stop eating real brownies that are not sugar-free. Do you have any advice of what they can do?
Yeah. Make a decision. Decide what you want and then do it. As women, I think a challenge always is to put everyone else's opinion, needs, wants, everything in front of ours. And the power that you've had the power all along, my dear. Remember that one? Glinda the Good Witch
Yes.
in The Wizard of Oz? You have had the power all along. You just need to decide to use it, to connect with it, to be that power. You have it. You can do it. You just need to decide. And when you decide, you're deciding to be a force of good for everyone around you. The people who are in your life who are difficult to, the children, the parents, the ex-husband, the current husband, whatever, unless you decide not to be abused, not to be neglected, not to work at something. You have to make that decision, or none of these forces can change. The change always has to begin with you. You can't wait around for that guy who's always been a pain in the butt. Not going to change, right? The kid who's difficult. How can that kid be less difficult if you don't change? You are the one who must decide who you are and what you want, and that you're going to do it. You're just going to keep falling down until you get good at it, whatever it is. But you can't move forward without, I think, that decision. And in that decision is, I deserve it. I'm worthy of it. I can, and you sometimes have to repeat those things to yourself because you don't believe them for 1 second. That's fine. It's all right. Just keep repeating it. I can do this. Yes. You have to you have to say yes and make that decision that you're going to do these things. And the information is all out there. It's, I think most of us know that there is a better way of eating or a better way of relating or whatever. The information is there. You just need to decide you're going to use it and do it. And it's only going to help you if you use it and do it.
I love that because all of the people that I hear talking about, this Napoleon Hill story and the Think and Grow Rich, and there's lots of different people out there talking about what to do. But I love the fact that you're saying exactly what they're saying, but you've actually done it through experience and lived it. And yeah, I think that we get too stuck on, but where's the sign? Where's the sign? Like, where's the sign of where I'm going to be able to do that? But I think what you're saying is we just have to decide that inside ourselves, and that's it.
Yeah, waiting around for it is never going to help. I mean, not that being patient is not a virtue and so on and so forth. But, and, we all have to deal with our own little pile of poop, we have only our own mess to deal with. And there was definitely a time in my life when I literally remember looking in the window of a house that was lit up and there were people inside. And I thought, will I ever be the person on the inside of the house looking out? Will I ever be that person warm and dry inside? And the answer is yeah. Not only that, but I have a really nice house.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not huge, but it's sweet and wonderful. And it's what I wanted. But yes, there was a time when, I mean, I had done everything wrong and wrong,
Right.
but I had 3 little kids and a couple of dogs and a cat and stuff, and they needed me to get my act together and do what needed doing. And that gave me purpose and gave me hope. We all made it. We lived through it. And,
And you decided, I think that's
I decided, yeah. And things happen. We can't prevent some of the awful things that happen to us. My first husband was a veteran. He was one of those guys that came back from Vietnam very, very damaged, but you couldn't see it right away. And so over time, he just disintegrated. He just came apart. And those are the kinds of things that you realize looking back on the history of the world, and things have happened to us that are so out of our control that other people have created or done or whatever, and we have to end up cleaning up the mess. What we hope is that we won't repeat those mistakes, and we hope that we'll have empathy for people who are living through the results of those mistakes. But you have to decide that nobody but you can make you happy. You're it.
Yes, some very, very good advice. I want to talk about, again, being happy and how we can make ourselves happy. And I think one thing that can make us happy is brownies for breakfast.
Yes.
So please tell us more, because I kept this little secret, but you got a cookbook. It's called Brownies for Breakfast. As soon as I came across you and the name of your cookbook just, oh, I loved it. So tell us more about it, because this is especially, I love what you say. It says for diabetics and for everyone who loves them. And I love that.
Because if you have an issue, a metabolic issue like diabetes or fatty liver, number of heart situation, you don't want to sit at the table and be the one just eating these things and have everyone else eating those things. But the secret is that we should all be eating like a diabetic or a heart patient. If we eat that prescription, we will all not only be healthier, but happier, because it's better food. It's just better. And my prescription and what the recipes are all about, Caroline, is whole food, real
I
food.
see that. Yes.
That's basically it. And it sounds really simple, but then you go, okay, what am I eating now that's real, that's whole? And you have to go through your cupboards and pull out everything and read the label. And if it has a label, it's probably not whole food or real food. So it's a little bit more of a challenge than you may think, but what you end up with is more delicious, more beautiful, more wholesome, and your friends want to come over and eat it too, because it's really good. It's just real whole food and plant-based in that, and I do eat meat and fish, not a ton of it, but I do eat it. But I source it very carefully, which I want other people to do too, for a lot of reasons, for you and the animal. We all now are becoming conscious that if we are going to eat beef or pork, it needs to come from animals that have eaten well and had a happy life, not from factory raised animals. So and you need to consume animals who have consumed good food too, and that's a challenge. So the recipes are fairly simple, and yes, there are some canned things in there. For the brownies, the recipe is let's just go into it here.
Yes,
The
please.
recipe is pumpkin. You're going, what? Yeah. Pumpkin and cocoa and nut butter and a little bit of cinnamon and eggs or egg substitute. And I think baking powder, baking soda. That's about it. It's a very simple recipe. But the magic is, and allulose, the sweetener. Very important. Allulose is a natural sweetener. It's what's called a rare sugar. No calories. It will give you no glucose spike, nothing. Wonderful sweetener. It looks like sugar, tastes like sugar, no aftertaste. So sweetened, but not with sugar and not with an artificial sweetener. So the brownies, the secret is that something magical happens with the nut butter and the pumpkin, that you think you're eating oil and flour, but you're not. You're eating a vegetable and nuts. So everyone pretty much in the audience, I'm sure, knows that vegetables and nuts are good for us. And there you have basically a little meal that is a brownie. And you can make your frosting out of a sugar-free dark chocolate bar and a little bit of allulose and a little bit of soy milk. Just milk. And I nuke things. I put them in the microwave. Easy, fast. Hello. stir it up and put it on there. And the other secret is don't tell anybody that they're sugar free. Just put them out there. And they'll go, oh my gosh, these are the best brownies I've ever eaten. How in the world? And you just say, yeah, they're really good, aren't they? That's it.
Yeah, it sounds perfect for my 3-year-old daughter who's always saying, Mommy, I want chocolate. Mommy, I want cupcakes. Mommy, I want. So it's like you said, it's for the whole family, and we should be eating like that. I've got 4 stepkids as well, and I'm very strict on, while I'd love to cook them normal brownies all the time and them cakes and everything, I'm really strict on, hang on, it's just not healthy to be eating that much.
And you moms, the kids need to be cooking. Kids will eat what kids cook, and they will eat what they raise. So if you can do a garden, even a little teeny one, do it. And kids love to cook, especially when they're really small. They think it's just wonderful and magic. And so you pull them in early. And if they've made it, you're done, and they'll start cooking for you.
Yeah, my daughter, my 3-year-old, give her a few more months. She makes all the schnitzel. So when I'm making schnitzel, she's like, let me help. And she gets up there and she knows what to do. She
They're
cracks all the
fun.
eggs now. She doesn't need any. She can make pancakes. She just can't turn on the pan. That's it. So
It's
yeah.
fun. And there's a recipe in the book for Miss H's pumpkin pancakes. So Miss H is my granddaughter now, just turned 16. Oh my gosh. But she and I spent a lot of time making her pumpkin pancakes. Very simple and full of pancake. And this time of year in the fall, it's really fun to make them. And you use your pumpkin pie spice in the pancakes. Everybody loves them. And it's a great meal. It's a wonderful meal. Who doesn't love pancakes?
Yes, and especially, yeah, with fall coming up, we started and having pancakes.
But the book is not just sweets. It's one of my
A
favorite recipes.
lasagna in there.
Hmm?
You've got a lasagna.
It's not a lasagna. I have macaroni and cheese, a very American dish. Everybody loves that. But you can make it with a cauliflower puree, and it's full of vegetables, and it's delicious, and it's all in the book. Trust me, it's really, really good. But the recipe that I recommend highly for busy moms is Genius Soup, because it's a way to clean out your fridge and use up all those vegetables that you bought, very well intentioned, and now they're down the bottom and they're kind of getting a little bit, So you want to bring them out and throw them in the pot and make a big pot of Genius Soup. Very simple. I tell you how. You're going to go, that's it? Yeah, that's it. That's all you do. But then you've got this wonderful soup base that on Tuesday night becomes pasta, and on Wednesday night becomes tortilla soup, and on Thursday night becomes a Greek thing that you like to do with feta on top of it. So you've got your vegetable rich base that's warm and wonderful, that you just in 5, 10, 15 minutes after you get home from work, after the kids get home, you've got dinner on the table or lunch or whatever you're eating. And that's how we need to operate. So many of us are now kind of dependent on grab and go food. And the kids are eating in the back of a car. And in Europe, not so much, but in the United States, that's epidemic. And that's what's wrong physically with the kids. They're sitting and eating fast food.
Mm.
So, and again, I don't need to lecture everybody. Everybody knows that's probably okay. But the solution is Genius Soup and my mac and cheese and the brownies that are a meal. What's wrong with pumpkin and nut butter as a meal? I mean, most of us would be happy if we thought our kid was taking in that, and maybe some egg protein or some substitute eggs. That's good food. Nothing wrong with it. If you've got to eat quick on the run, it works fine. And then there are donut recipes in there for baked donuts that are good for you. Who knew?
Oh yeah, I saw that. Fantastic.
They're really, really good. There's other savory things, dinner ideas that are colorful and good. Another favorite that I had the conversation just yesterday with somebody, they said, "Ooh, mushroom soup. Ooh, no. Mushroom soup that you make yourself, first of all, is so embarrassing. It's so easy. And it's one of the most delicious things you can eat. And for some reason, people don't know that. I think people have eaten it out of a can and they just don't know, because it's just fresh mushrooms and onions sauteed. And then you pour in your stock, whether you got your own or whether you have some stock in a box, or a can. And you you've had little olive oil in there to saute, and then you cook the mushrooms and onions that have been sauteed in the stock for an hour till they're very tender, and then you blend them up. And here's the secret: you put in just a little bit of bourbon,
Okay.
and I guarantee. And if you don't have bourbon, got a little port, use a little of that. That's fine. And that's another thing. You should be able to cook from your heart a little bit. It doesn't always have to be measured and so many grams of this and so much, but just make it good and make it with what you have. Open up your fridge and pull out what you have and turn it into something you want. That to me is the secret of happiness right there. First, you don't want to go to the store, right? Second, you're hungry now. And third, you don't want to throw anything away ever if you can help it,
Well,
especially
I'm
now.
exactly like you, but I can tell you, everyone says to me, when I say the same thing, and they go, "Yeah, but I can't do that because I don't know where, like, I don't have a start guide." But your cookbook sounds like it's got all of those, the starting, the base to everything. The fact that that soup sounds fantastic. It sounds like,
It's intended to be for people who've never cooked or don't want to cook or are unhappy, but now they have to cook, or they want to cook, any of that, or an 8-year-old kid or an 85-year-old grumpy grandfather, whatever. It's intended to be fun and forgiving and yummy and look good and be easy, all those things. I'm a messy, impatient cook. And so that's in the book. I mean, you'll know when you read the book. It's like, this is not like any chef no, I am not a chef. I'm a grandma. And that's a very different thing. But I've had chefs tell me they like my stuff, and if you talk to the chef, if you say, so after everyone leaves your 5-star Michelin rated restaurant and goes home, and you're alone in the kitchen, and you go home to your apartment, what do you want to eat? Every one of them that I've ever heard interviewed or read about says the same thing. It's the soup my grandma used to make for me at
yeah.
home, right? That's the good stuff right there.
It's true. So I didn't get a chance to get your cookbook before we did this call because I had to buy it on Amazon.com, and to get it sent over from the US took some time. So I'm going to do some of your recipes, and I'm going to post some of them on my Instagram because
Yay.
I love cookbooks, and I love, like, the fact that it's all healthy stuff. Um, my daughter's always asking to make things like brownies and cookies and that. So at least I'm going to have a nice recipe that I can do with her that's healthy.
You're going to have a bunch of it. You can let her pick them out. But here's the great news. Thank you. I have an announcement to make. You can get the book on Audible now. So you can have me in your ear as you drive or as you take a bath or whatever. And I've had a number of people say, first of all, Audible said, well, we don't do cookbooks and art books because why would anyone want an Audible cookbook? Well, they did it. It's an art book and a cookbook. And it was an experiment, to see if it would work. But the feedback I'm getting from people is, oh, I heard it was a totally different experience hearing you talk the book than it was to read the book. Because we do learn different, we learn with our eyes, but when we learn with our ears, it's a different experience. So then you can go home and download the ebook, which has the pictures and the recipes in it. And there you have the whole thing. So I highly recommend picking up or downloading the Audible book if you want to play around with that. Love to hear from you what you think.
And is
Um,
that in where do we get that? Is that in Amazon we can get that, or?
you can, and the easy thing to do is go to lynnebowman.com, and there's a link right smack on the opening page. It says, here's the Audible book right here, and you can boom, hit the link, and you can get a taste of it, if as it were. You can listen to a little bit of it and see what you think. But that's an easy link. So it's on Audible, on Amazon, and on my lynnebowman.com website. It's just Lynne, don't forget the E, Bowman, BOWMAN.com.
I will
And
put all the links in the show notes.
great. Okay. And you can sign up for me to send you new recipes, which I do not often. But recently, for example, I came up with an orange snack cake, which is so good. You use a whole orange, including the peel in it.
Oh, nice.
Wonderful. So, yeah, sign up and I'll send that to you with other stuff.
And I want to get 3 tips from you. I ask all of my guests this. 3 tips for women that are in this season of life of going into their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. Do you have 3 tips for them?
3 tips as in actionable things they should.
I think you've given a lot already. So maybe it's the ones you've already given, but maybe you have something else.
Become the healthiest version of yourself that you can. Think very selfishly and deliberately about your body being your instrument that you should care for just as lovingly as you care for your Labrador retriever or your children or your aging relative. Care for yourself ferociously, because your health is everything to your happiness, as far as I'm concerned. So that's probably number 1, 2, and 3 right there. I don't know, but that's a big one. Listen to music all the time that you can. Turn the news off, please, and listen to music. And if I had enough life I want to do a show about music. I love swamp rock. And I don't know if you know what I mean by swamp rock, but I think I need to do a podcast or radio show about swamp rock music. It's wonderful regional music, mostly from the United States, acoustic music. But find the music that makes you happy, whatever that is, and have more of it in your life, because music does make us happy. So your health, some music, and number 3, yes, organize your closet. Get rid of that crap. It's time.
I'm going to tell you what I did. I went into a shop one day and a girl said to me in a passing comment, "Oh, you always look fantastic." I just see her in this supermarket occasionally. Yeah? "You always look great." She says, "I never like my clothes. I don't like my arms. My arms are really fat." And I looked at her, I said, "Honey, no one likes all of their body. There's always something we don't like." And I said, "I look fantastic because I choose the right clothes for my body. There's many things that don't suit me. No one believes me, but trust me, many things don't suit me. All my friends can't believe it until I purposely try on something that doesn't actually suit me." And she was looking at me and I said, "Just throw out everything in your wardrobe. The problem is you've got it there. Just throw it out, because while it's there, then you feel guilty. I better wear it. I better wear it. Just get rid of it."
So
And
true.
she just smiled at me and went, "Oh, okay then." Anyway, I went back a week later and I'm not joking. She goes, "Oh, hi, guess what? I threw out my whole wardrobe the other day." And I was like, "Oh, wow, you actually did." She goes, "I got rid of everything after what you said and I feel so much better for it."
Yeah. First of all, we don't know what we have because we have so much stuff
Yeah.
jammed in there, right? So yeah, filter it out, clean it out. And if you only want to wear stretchy, black, warm things, that's what you should wear. If that's what works for you, do that.
Mm,
It's your signature. Yeah.
yeah, so true. I love it. Lynne, you have been absolutely amazing, amazing, amazing. And I am definitely getting hold of your cookbook.
Thank
And
you.
I want the book though, because I like every time I buy an ebook, I end up sort of, I love cookbooks. I've got a whole collection of cookbooks.
I regret that it's expensive now. They raised the price on Amazon, and so the hardback book has become very expensive.
No, and for some people having like for some things I like having there, I've got like a cooking app and then I put recipes in there. So ebooks are great for some reasons and audio is great for other reasons, but I like books and I want to have yours as an actual cookbook because I've got my little collection.
And let me know. I love the feedback
Oh no,
after.
I will be. You'll be hearing from me because I'm going to be doing some recipes. I never take photos of my food and post them anywhere, but I'll be posting photos and letting you know because I'm very excited to try. Especially the first thing I'm going to try is the pumpkin. What was it? The pumpkin, yeah,
The
pancakes.
pancakes. Yeah.
That's the first thing I'm
Good.
going to try. So as soon as I do that, I'll be letting you know.
Good. Yeah. I want to stay connected to you as well.
Yes, we'll stay in touch. And I'll put all of the in the show notes, all of your information, your links to everything so everyone can get that. But Lynne, you've been absolutely amazing. So thank you so much for joining us.
This has just been huge fun. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Bye.